Hey, thanks for the follow, Half a B. And welcome to the stream, by the way. We're going to be kicking this off here in a minute. Sorry about this. Just trying to give a few people a chance to come in. Going to be doing a little simple guide that I'm going to upload to YouTube for new players that are starting with our community. Because there's been some rough bumps, and I feel like this will help bridge the gap a little bit, maybe. We'll see how it goes. For anybody that's watching, give me a minute to get started here. We're going to let the intro kind of play through. It's just a quick 2 minutes. And then I'm going to show a brief introduction to the servers and post this video on YouTube. It'll make, I hope it'll make getting started with the community a little easier. Jester, you are exactly why chat is not included in the streams. If I forward this stuff to YouTube, my god. So brutal. Alright, let's get this show on the road. Give me a second to make some adjustments here. I gotta kick on a few things. I just noticed like a whole bunch of stuff turned off or unplugged or something. Give me a moment. My apologies, everybody. I flipped the switch for my lighting and nothing came on. I'm like, what the hell? I'm guessing my kids. My kids are directly to blame for this issue. It is their fault. Oh, I can't even get to it. My wife's asleep. Okay, we'll see how it goes. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Alright. Let's see how this goes. One of those mornings. See if my camera decides it wants to tolerate it. There we are. Nope, it's not happy. I got off-balance lighting now. Let's try this. Hey, that actually works. How about that? God, I look like I'm in black and white. Holy crap. It is, it's like a black and white horror film. It's terrible. Alright. So, first things first. Couple of useful things that'll help you out if you decide to join our community. unknownskies.engine.com is our website. Knowing where the website is important because it's easy to vote from here. There are downloads you can get from here that'll help you out. A few other odds and ends. We'll start with the downloads. Now, this is the launcher, which can help you out a lot because you will have problems pretty much guaranteed with any server you connect to. I know a lot of people are fast to blame it on a server, but there's just a lot of bugs in the game. I mean, it's just how it is. And there is not a whole lot we can do about it. So we try to do what we can. The launcher is super helpful. I'll show you why. That's how we're going to start our game today. We're going to open up the launcher here. Now, first things first, Steam functions are a normal part of playing this game. I know that sounds terrible, but they really are. You will have to install Empyrion, uninstall, or validate it on multiple occasions throughout the time you're playing the game. Mostly because updates tend to break things and shit happens. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. So, there's that. Allows you to launch the client from here. Same shortcut Steam uses, basically. Also allows for a couple other things. There's a blueprints manager. There's a saves manager. There's a mods manager. Community information is in here on the different servers. Vote links are already in here. Statuses for the 3 servers are in here. Everything is literally in here. Really freaking handy. At least in my opinion. It's super handy for me. And also, you can get information, including where it backs up everything to when you move this stuff around. So if you happen to go and use this to back up all, for example, and then move them in as required, it makes it easy to manage those folders. You can open backup location from here, and it will directly open up the exact location where all the backups go to, which in my case is just a C folder. Have to do this if you're going to reinstall or uninstall the game. It's a pretty regular thing. So that's the first thing. The launcher's helpful. Even stuff like clearing the cache are one click from here. See, clear cache, click yes. Cache has been successfully cleared. And we can verify this by going to the Empyrion directory, clicking saves, clicking cache, opening up the most recent cache folder, and you will not see playfields in there. It deletes the playfields folder. That's important. This is also why we decided to use the launcher, was because trying to get people directed to their cache file is a pain in the ass. I'm going to be flat out honest there. Especially when you're managing anywhere between as little as 10 to as many as 200 players, depending on time of day and when they're on and all that stuff. So, just makes it easier on you guys. Makes it easier on us too. We don't have to give instructions. We can just say, do you have the launcher? Okay, click utilities, click clear cache. See, problem solved. Then launch client. You wouldn't believe the amount of bugs that actually fixes. There's a lot of them too, and I mean a lot. All right. Let's go ahead and click client. We'll go ahead and load. Probably has to update. Yep, I figured. Let's play some music while we're waiting, I guess. We're waiting on the update. It says 15 minutes. It doesn't mean it. We'll stop this. This video's for YouTube. I gotta be careful with the use of audio. Somebody, somewhere, will copyright strike audio in a video for even just 5 seconds, man. My record so far is 12. 12 seconds of audio. Got part of my video clipped from YouTube. Like, well, thank you very much for that. That copyright stuff is crazy. All right, let's play game. We'll show you how to find the servers next. Show you how to use the filter. Show you how to get to multiplayer, that whole bit. This will also help other communities with being able to figure out the game and get players in and all that fun stuff. Seems like such a small little thing, but you'd be surprised at how important that little thing can be. Yeah. I usually explain the switching of branches in a different video, as not to confuse players. And remember, this chat doesn't get attached to the video when it moves over to YouTube, so I apologize for my lighting. It's something I can't fix. It's literally not fixable right now. My wife is asleep, and she's the only one that can reach that stupid light because it's squished into a weird position. Hey there, Bayleg. Again, thank God the chat doesn't go to YouTube. It's also why I'm not in voice. Alright, so join a game. Joining a game's pretty easy. Finding the servers is pretty easy. We click join, we can click filter, we can type in USG, and all 3 of our servers pop up. Makes it easy to find us. And click. Now remember, we cleared our cache, so the load time is just ridiculous. If you saw just before, there's a lot. So wait out planet loading. Where we're at. And it does take a while. Again, we have more than 300 play fields, so it takes a while. While we're waiting, let me open this. Maybe. Yeah, this is how you switch in between experimental and not experimental. It's also where you can verify integrity of game files. I mean, you just right-click Empyrion, click Properties, and then you have access to all these menus and stuff. Eventually, I am going to make this a little easier with the launcher, but right now, I just wanted to get the basics done. It was all about getting the basics. Now that we got all that coded, we'll add other features later. Make some things that digging through Steam can be a little bit of a pain in the rear, but they're not bad. I mean, just saves us from having to give out instructions every time somebody asks. That's the important part. I don't know what the heck just happened. Just blanked out like half my stream out of nowhere. Hell is that? Why that's even a thing? What the heck? Where did that even come from? Still loading planets. I told you this would be a while. We're almost at 80. There's 80. We passed 80%. We're getting there. Any server that's got a lot of play fields, it really affects the load time for your first load. It's a little faster the second time. Alright, choosing a starter planet. Want to see something neat. Not in the middle of this video, but I do. Does that make sense? Alright, choose a starter planet. We have Gotam, Alpha Station 405, Artifice, Zias, and as you can see, there's information on the resources, there's information on relative difficulty of the planet. I mean, it's just little stuff here and there. Set, Snow Planet, Tyata, Skelis, Caste, and back. Doesn't matter where we start for the sake of this video, but the easiest place to start is probably a toss-up between one of the temperate planets. If you're not familiar with the game, I would recommend starting on a temperate. We're going to go there just because. And here we are. Now, there are options in the YAML, so everybody knows, where we could change the start to be something other than a drop pod landing on a planet, or crash landing, as it is. We could change that. Generally, I don't, because from what I remember of single player, there weren't a whole lot of starts involving stations. So it's just a more uniform experience that people are used to. We used to have a planet you started in a facility on, but we did away with that for a little while. So, EDA interruption. A couple things to note. If you type in /help, it will help you with server commands. I also plan on putting this stuff in the PDA once I start looking at examples. There's a way to put URLs in the PDA now, and a couple other recent changes that have not been updated in documentation anywhere. And I'm not certain if they actually put this information in the current version of the PDA for us to be able to see an example of. So I'll get to that, and I'll deal with that stuff at a later date. Just not something that's super important right now. At the rate they change the PDA, I'm not sure if it's actually worth editing the doggone thing. But anyways. So it lists administrators, it lists commands, lists the vote commands and their links. You can also find this information in the Discord, which is why we include our Discord link here on this help file. If you go to Discord and look at server information, the welcome channel, all that stuff, you'll learn a lot about the community going through those. Also, feel free to interact. We have a very friendly community. There's also a page 2, more information, and a /help starters for more information about the starter planets. And there's, like I said, more information as you go through all this. So in our case, we can type in /help starters, and that brings up the starters. Now, another thing to note for people new to the server is that our starter planets do wipe every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, I've had a lot of players ask me, well, why do you wipe them when there's a way to renew the ore? Well, because neither system is particularly reliable. Some planets get skipped on the wipe by EAH. I don't know why. There's an admin helper program on the back end that helps us manage all this, and sometimes it just doesn't perform the tasks as they're programmed. So to keep people moving off the planets and make sure we have the fewest amount of problems possible, we stick with the old way of wiping, because it's the most reliable in EAH right now. It tends to work almost 100% of the time. That's why we choose to do it this way. It also keeps people from building on the starters and cluttering them and slowing them down, and it helps with a good starter experience for players. It really does. So that's pretty much the most important information. You get a pretty good starter package. It's not bad. It's not like the best one out of all the servers. We tried to balance the starter to where it was still worth it. That's what we tried to do. So new players have enough of a start to where they're not lagging behind. Old players that want a more challenging start can literally drop all this stuff in the trash and just go on with their day. They can. Now, there are more things you could do to bump up what you get in a start, like you could go vote on the website I showed you earlier, and you could type in /vote reward Pegasus and get a vote reward for the day, which gives you additional resources to use on your start. You click the backspace arrow, or whatever you want to call the left-facing arrow over here, to transfer the inventory and close. If you do not grab everything out of that panel, you will lose what is left in there. For the record. That's how this thing works. If you have a lot of stuff you don't need, or you want to make sure to sandbag some stuff before you start and potentially die, you can type in /VB1, 2, or 3. There are 3 virtual backpacks. That's what that stands for. Hit enter and stuff all that stuff in a backpack that you don't need right now, so that as you travel, you don't risk losing it. In my case, I want to keep my projectile pistol on me. I want to keep my ammunition on me. So we'll move those down to my bar, because they're excluded from these little arrows over here transferring stuff. And then we'll take everything else and we'll stow it away. We'll click close, and then later on, when I'm ready for that stuff, I can type in /VB1 again and pull it all back over, or pick and choose what I want to pull. Makes it really simple. Now, A little detail about the backpacks: they carry over across wipes as long as Elion doesn't screw with the modding interface. We were kind of worried there for a while during 10.0's experimental because the mods did not work for a good portion of it. They changed the API and there was no backwards compatibility off and on throughout all of the experimental. So we were not sure. Something else that has been brought to our attention when the patch was first released for 10.0 was that the modding interface is pretty much not usable right now, and they have suggested none of us use it for anything more than experimentation. So they basically borked the new modding interface too at the moment. So now nobody, I don't know if anybody's going to mod for it. I don't know if anybody's going to pay attention to it. I don't know what the case is. So when it comes to new mods and things like that, no, we don't have them. So when you land, you got to find some place to set up shop temporarily and get off the planet before Friday morning. Now, if you happen to start on like a Thursday, just before the wipe happens, like let's say you start at 10 p.m. my time, anything you keep in your inventory stays. Anything you put in your backpack stays. It just wipes what you have on the planet. So if you put down a base, that base is gone if you don't pick it up beforehand. You put down a ship, same thing. So I definitely recommend getting to orbit. I really do. Because as you'll find out in that file, we type /help starters. It includes the moon, it includes the planet, but it doesn't include the orbit. So if you go to orbit, you'll be fine out in orbit. And then you can come down on the starter, finish collecting what you need, and get the hell off. As most people do. So pretty easy to get started here. It's not too bad. Couple other things to note. There are enemies pretty much everywhere. The starters are relatively relaxed, but we did not disable the Xerax attacks that happen. Though a recent patch may have changed that. I mean, we may have to go through and change those configs, because now, if there's not a drone base on the planet, they don't happen. They backpedaled on that change. So I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know if the old YAML is going to be compatible, or I don't know what's going on there. A lot of that stuff's up in the air. Yeah, and as Bayleg said, if you're lazy, some of the more wealthy players will probably just give you resources and ships. So do feel free to hit period, that's a access chat, and ask people, hey, just started today, planet wipes coming up, can anybody help me get off the planet, give me a ship, you know. Most of the time, these guys are really, really responsive, and they will give you stuff and they will help you out. They won't make the game super easy for you. They will help you get off the planet. Because we've all been there, you know. Yeah, Bayleg's been known to do so, and so have several other players. Concrete is dirt cheap. Get it? Yep. Concrete is cheap. So that's it. Couple other commands that are notable. Chatbot. That is an EAH command. If you put in CB : it will show you all of the commands that are there. This goes from CB reset, which resets your character. You can use it once every few hours. CB survival, which can give you a one-time survival kit, and a handful of other commands. So, like for instance, we type in CB survival here, and it will tell you to take this and stay warm and well fed. Another bonus you can use to potentially ease your start. These are optional. Like I said, if you want a more difficult experience, you don't have to take any of this stuff. You can leave all of it off to the wayside. The reason we do it this way is because it gives you options for difficulty. Some players, they don't want to take the easy path. They want to take the hard path. They can do so. It's really simple. But for the players that don't, they have a really good start and a few different layers of materials they can go through to help ease themselves into the server. Entirely up to the player. Motorbike construction kit, you'll notice, is also in here. So if you require the motorbike or want it to jump around, typing in CB survival will give you a motorbike. You can also get the old oxygen generators in here. We only give you one, but you can get an old school oxygen generator from here as well from previous seasons. It's still usable and it still works. I don't know why it hasn't been removed, but I figure why not take advantage of it. Some people really like that thing. Don't forget the free HP. I'm getting there. I am getting there, Gamer Penguins. Yeah, until they break it, yeah. Now, another thing you can get is the free HV, which is also... I don't want it. Go away. Yeah, it'll give you a second option to get things just in case you don't get it all, just so you know. And apparently it's going to irritate the crap out of me until I take it. There, I took it. Good lord. Go away. That's new. Usually if you don't take the stuff, it doesn't come back. So we're going to go back to the /help file again, and we're going to look in more in depth in a few commands here. There's /freehv, /fbank, and there's a couple of very specific chatbot commands in here that are super freaking helpful. One of those commands is /freehv, which we're going to use right now, and why we grabbed all this crap. /freehv brings you down an HV motorbike. In case you don't like the original motorbike and the bugs that come with it, you can just get an HV at start. Again, all comes down to player options. I prefer to give options. Click F, get inside the bike, you hit P, you can fill the bike with whatever you have on you, if you have energy, whatever you have, power it up, and you're free to go. You've got headlights, you can put a weapon on it if it doesn't already have one. It's a pretty flexible little machine. Got a little bit of space. It's got an empty block space for you to put stuff. Pretty nice. And that allows us to roam the planet freely now. I think the HVs are probably a little better than the motorbike, and usually a little less buggy. Usually. They're not always that case. You kind of pick in between whichever one's the worst or best at them. That's really what you end up with. So, another thing you get with that kit, besides the free HV, is the ability to build a base right off. Some people, they'll save these blocks and they'll use them to create their first ship so they can get off the planet. Some people use those blocks and build a base. They are a little bit different than the default blocks you get in game, just so you know. So we're going to type in /VB1. We're going to combine some of our junk, the junk that's already in there. What is left over will go down to our bar or just not make the trip. These blocks are what we're going to use along with the starter base here, just so I can show you the difference in those. Go ahead and put them on our bar. Stow this other stuff that we don't need in here. That stuff goes in virtual backpack too. There we go. You put down a starter base. That'll get you started. And you can start placing down a few blocks and get a home built. Now, should you want to build a taller structure, something else that a lot of players forget about, there is a drone that you can use to build with. So when you want to go vertical, you can use the drone to go vertical with. And you can also use the drone to build all kinds of stuff. Understand the controls are a bit squishy and wonky with the drone. They're not as smooth and fluid as they are with your player, but they do function pretty well. They're not bad. I don't mind. You'll also notice when you right-click, you don't get a whole lot of options. These options are on purpose. You don't really need all those blocks to start a base that you're going to have to tear down or abandon. So we just leave it to basic shapes. Pretty easy. It's an old version of the blocks. And it also gives players, just a little bit to run on. That's all it's for. Not a full-on base with all the crazy design and all that stuff. It's just simple. Keep it simple. Sinclair has a comment here. Thought about doing it last night. Went to Hoth to get Erestrum Zescosium. Came down in deep fog, and the sky lit up as I came in too close to a huge Xerax base. Instantly took out my fuel tank, and I crash-landed just out of range. Spent the next 4 hours scrounging up enough resources to make another ship to get home. Ended up building a base to get it done, and left it as a safe haven for others in the same situation. Yeah, some people do that, leave like a public base behind. And it's another reason not to use your CB survival command early. CB survival is there as a failsafe. Should you end up stranded on a planet and lose your ship and stuff, you can get started again with those resources and kind of build an emergency situation into a much better one. It helps. It's also nice to stuff all this stuff in your backpacks and just hang on to it, again, as an emergency use case. That way, again, if you get stranded or anything, you can just pop those up and, hey, I got stuff in there. There are also cases, occasionally, where Ilion will release a patch that breaks the servers and we have to wipe the save. That has happened mid-season to us a few times. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's really disappointing for people that didn't pack up their backpacks. So definitely use those to keep stuff in there. Yep. I don't use a cargo box to store much. I keep most of my stuff in the virtual backpacks. Again, why you have 3 of them, so that I always have some kind of emergency cache to pull from should I need to. Extra motorbikes, extra grow plots, extra seeds, a little bit of food, medical items, stuff to build a base, or should I need it, weapons, energy, oxygen, all that stuff is really freaking handy to have sitting on the side should you get stranded. Then you don't have to wait on an admin to help you. So I implore you to make use of these tools. Again, should we have to wipe? These are safe. We just wipe the save file and let it regenerate and patch whatever's broken, and bam, we're back up and running again. Exhausted, heading to bed now. Take it easy, Jester. That's another thing. So we got our free HV, we got a free base, we got generators, we got water generators. We have everything we need to potentially operate right off the rip. Literally, all you have to do is get to level 5, build an SV, and jet out to space. You can do it with everything I gave you. And getting to level 5 isn't that hard. Took me an hour just to get resources to make one between dying to level 10 mobs. That's really the kind of challenge adventure that makes the game fun. Yeah, it is. I don't mind being stranded. I really don't. And I don't keep much in my backpacks either. I have been known to keep absolutely nothing in there, because I don't care if I crash land somewhere. It's all I have to look forward to. If I come in on a planet and I accidentally get my face bashed in by one of the crazy POIs on Hoth, I don't mind the survival experience. It's not undoable. It can be difficult. Those level 10 planets get nuts. Some of those POIs will just rip you to shreds and not care. It's like, well, you're dead. Yeah, I've left old CVs on starter planets too, yeah. It's also nice for the new people that start, because they'll just be running along and find a CV set to public, and they're all like, is anybody around? Does anybody own this? I'm taking this freebie, and they fly off in it. Happy little campers, like they just got themselves a good prize. And they did too. There's also a scrap area where you can ditch ships, Sadhouse Scrapyard. Any of those orbits out there, if anybody has a ship that they just want to drop off or decore and leave or whatever the choice is, that's literally what those orbits are for, is abandoning old vessels for other people to scrap or tear apart or whatever. Great place for that. Another little tidbit, if you decide to leave stuff behind, rename it Delete Me. And just let an admin know. We can search Delete Me in the structures and get rid of them. Yeah, some people do rename them Take Me Please. So those are some helpful tips that will help you get started in pretty much any community. Most of the communities have similar mods and similar setups. There's some that give you way more, and there's some that don't give you squat. But almost everybody's running EAH, so those commands, the chatbot commands, are universal across the servers. Even if you don't use our community and you don't like it, the video is still relevant for a lot of people. Mostly because of the chatbot commands. Couple of useful chatbot commands to note while I'm sitting here are CV get ship down :ship ID. For example, in our case, it would be something like 4995626, for example. That would be the ship ID of the ship I'm staring at, which you can get on your own pretty easily. If the ship's within reach, you can type in DI. Any player can use the debug information tool and get the ID of the ship they're looking at. If the ship is way up in the sky, which tends to happen sometimes in certain scenarios, you'll get booted out of your ship mid-flight. We've all had it happen. If you hit one of the function keys that bring up the menu, any of these, you'll see this little icon up here that says registry. Click that, and you can see all the ships you own across a galaxy, whether they're set to private or faction. You just have to click show private. In here, if you're within the same playfield, you can click statistics and get the ID at the bottom left for the structure that you need, which means you can get the ship down or go to it or whatever you need. The server command's working again. Was still seeing the server say it was broken all last night. I don't know why the server says that. The server shouldn't say anything about the commands being broken. Maybe I need to update the messages, but they do all work. We restored those last week. So if the messages are still running, I'll make sure to get rid of them in a second here. Let's go check on that. That would be here. That would be timetable. Let me check. Mail command. Discord. That. There's the add everyone. Delete that message. Thank you for reminding me of that. Faction planets are already being dealt with. Stations are especially important. Over. You start at 405 if you need nation ships. Those will be helpful still, so we'll leave those as relevant. That should fix those problems. Thank you for letting me know about that, Sinclair. I forget about this stuff sometimes. I really do. Alright, now another thing to note. When you put in a command in here or you request an admin, if you type @admin, we actually get alerts for that. So on our phones, we have a section of Discord that monitors for those kind of commands. I'll pull this over so you can actually see that. So on my phone, I have an admin alerts channel, and anything that's shared in there usually goes here. Doesn't mean it's always going to work, but for the most part, it's pretty relevant, and it does. EAH has not been super reliable lately, so we still miss people. Just so you know. But at least it'll show up yellow in here, and we'll at least see that. Wow, that's not even an alert anymore? They break that stuff again? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but... Let's try admin, see if that shows up. Okay, yeah, the bot's broken again. There's something wrong with the Empyrion bot. Huh. I guess the admin alerts aren't working anymore. The stuff you discover on stream. Well, sorry about that. Usually it works if you get an admin. To get an admin's attention, if you just type in admin somewhere, we'll usually see that in this channel called admin alert. I guess it isn't working right now. Big shock. It is set up to. But, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's broken right now. Alpha, what do you want? Alpha software, I'm going to have to put up a notice about that. Give me a second here. Hold on. @admin. Admin alerts are not functioning correctly at this time. No idea as to why not. Discovered while on stream showing players live. LOL. Enter. Okay, at least we set out an alert for that. Okay, my apologies. That is funny. It does go through periods where sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. I don't write the software. It's not open source, so we can't correct it. And it is also why we try to replace as much of that thing with external mods as possible, because it just doesn't work. It doesn't function all the time. It's not reliable enough. But our mods are. For the most part. I mean, they work pretty well. We have one mod that for some people crashes them, and I don't know why. And that is our mail mod. So if you type in /mail and a player name, let's say Armaduke, and some message afterwards, doesn't matter what it is, we're just going to type in some message, I can hit enter and usually mail players stuff. Off and on, this does not work, and I have no freaking idea why. It works sometimes with some names, and it doesn't work with others. I'll be honest, no clue what's going on there. So it's a broken command, don't use it. That's where we're at. The mod's still in, it just doesn't work. I don't know. So anywho, I think that pretty much covers everything. Does anybody have any questions before I hop off about any of this? I notice there's some new viewers out there that are just now tuning in. So I'm curious as to whether they have any questions about anything, or maybe you guys think I missed something. I'd like this to be as comprehensive as possible for getting started on our server. Nobody has anything? Okay. Well, I'm going to conclude this then. This portion of this stream is done. I'm going to end this stream and bring it back under a different subject. I'm going to be going through and doing videos like this most of the morning. I figure I'll stream them so that everybody can see like what's going on and get some general help with things. I could just clip them later, but God, that's so time consuming. Much easier to just stop it, wait for it, whatever the required hours are, and then just upload it to YouTube. Afterwards is a whole video. So I shall return. You don't have to go anywhere if you don't want to. Page should automatically deal with everything. Maybe. Twitch doesn't work all the time either. So I shall right back.